time for movies on rock and roll football. It's Meet Me in the Foyer with Linda Marrick and Jawa.
Meet Me in the Foyer.
Hello, welcome. Have you reserved a space in the foyer this week? If not, no problem. I'm grateful you've chosen to patronise our little establishment and can meet me in the foyer. We have a lovely table for you, and here comes our marvellous maitre d' to share with you our specials for the week. How are you, Linda?
I'm very well, thank you. A little bit tired, but feeling good. Yes.
Very good.
Just another busy week full of movies, and we have the Oscars at the end of the week, I think. Is it this
Certainly do.
Sunday?
Yeah, it's coming on Sunday. Yeah, biggest weekend in the film world, some might say.
Well, I don't know. Do you know, like I generally think now that there are so many other awards, by the time we get to the Oscars, I'm like, I'm awards out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Over it, so over it. You know?
I always look forward to the comedy skits, but they've been a bit thin on the ground in recent years. But I keep my fingers crossed. Keep my fingers crossed anyway.
We might do a live on Oscar day. We're not going to do the whole show live. Obviously, we can't show you any footage from the Oscars, but we might do a quick live on YouTube, just to revisit who we thought would win and why. And I have changed my mind on loads of things, not because I changed my mind or on the films themselves. I still love all the films I love. I'm thinking the way Hollywood votes, it's no longer about the movies. It's like a popularity competition. And
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, I look forward to that. And yeah, I've got my list, so I'll be checking it twice and seeing how you've changed your mind. And maybe I've changed mine as well, but I actually haven't thought about it. But definitely, looking forward to that. And what have you got on your sample menu for us this week, Linda?
I have, for change, I do have 3 movies this week, but I will be brief, I promise, because last week's show was very long and I'm very much aware of it. I will be reviewing How to Make a Killing, which is a kind of loose adaptation of a much-loved movie, which is Kind Hearts and Coronets, which I'm sure you love.
I do. Absolutely, yeah.
And also, I hope you're not offended by the adaptation. I will also be reviewing a German language movie called The Tasters. And finally, I will review an adaptation of another Colleen Hoover book, which is The Reminders of Him.
Lovely. Well, looking forward to sampling all of those. And of course, we bring you, I bring you a classic movie to consider, the latest movie news. And, now it's time to stop prevaricating and get underway. Perhaps we'll get away with murder and see who's made a killing at the box office this week in the box office top 10.
Meet Me in the Foyer.
So, it's the box office top 10, and as it stands, as we record, at number 10, and in fact at number 9, are 2 non-films, because at number 10 is Othello, a theatre production broadcast in cinemas, and at number 9 is Giselle, a Royal Opera House production, or a 2026 ballet, I should say, both filling up screens, which is never a bad thing. Which means our first real film this week is at number 8, and that's Crime 101. It's been out for a month now. It's made over £4 million, which is great, and you can catch Linda's review on a previous show. Above that, it's Epic, the Elvis Live in Concert documentary by Baz Luhrmann. That's out for 2 weeks now and has made just under £3 million at the UK box office.
Elvis is forever popular.
Even as a non-Elvis fan, I'm intrigued to see that because Elvis itself was pretty good, and the documentary sounds amazing. Even the trailer just got me absolutely hooked straight away. So. Above that is Goat, that's also been out a month now and has made an impressive 12.3 million at the box office.
This is what I'm saying. There aren't enough animations, and whenever there is one that comes out, everyone just goes and sees it. People don't really care whether it's any good or not. And this, I'm not saying this isn't a good movie. This is actually quite a good movie, and it's quite fun. But this is just goes to show there is an appetite for animation, and but last year it felt like we were getting so few, and why we ended up with like the same movie at the top for so many weeks, because there are very, very few of them.
Well, good news if you're an animation fan. Stick with us until the news later in the show. And number 5, it's new British comedy Mother's Pride. That's from the makers of Fisherman's Friends, director Nick Moorcroft, and that stars John O'Davis, Martin Clunes, James Buckley and Mark Addy. And that's been out a week and has made £707,000 at the box.
I have not seen this movie. I apologise, I missed it. It was on the screening last week, at the very end of the day, and I was going off to see Project Hail Mary, like very close to it, so I couldn't really do that, and I was very busy doing other things. But yeah, I hear I haven't missed much.
Yes, I've heard it's highly predictable, shall we say, British comedy, but that's I love those, so I will definitely be seeing this. I absolutely will. Above that, it's The Bride! ! Reviewed by Linda on last week's show. That's Maggie Gyllenhaal's new monster mashup on its first week on release. That's made $715,000, so actually only 8,000 more than Mother's Pride.
It's terrible. I mean, it costs 80 million. There's absolutely no way they're going to make even a fraction of that back.
No.
Yeah, it's quite disappointing.
No, it's possibly a bit mean of me, but I feel like a lot of critics have been very nice about it, saying it's got sort of great vision and all these sort of things. But as you said, it's a bit of a mess. So
it is a mess, but it's an interesting movie. I'd rather watch that again than watch like your run-of-the-mill horror movie from WB that. Like they're a staple of the first 6 months of the year usually, and they're all as tedious as one another. And I would rather watch this movie again than another one. And I totally understand why people are like bigging it up and saying how interesting it is. It is messy, it's true. Mm-hmm. It is messy. I think you can admire a movie without thinking it's a great movie.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. At number 3, it's Wuthering Heights. It's been out a month now. It's made a hugely impressive £23 million at the UK box office alone. And you can catch Linda's review on a previous episode of Meet Me in the Foyer. At 2, perhaps one of those generic horror movies that Linda was just referring to, it's Scream 7 on its second week of release that has made $6.1 million. And again, you can catch Linda's review on a previous episode. Which, of course, means at number 1, filling the void in the dearth of animations, it's Hoppers on its first week of release. It's made $4.7 million, and you can hear a very brief review by Linda on last week's show.
Doc! Oh, I need your help! Mabel, I'm in the middle of class. A class that you are enrolled in.
Sup, Mabel?
Come with me. The traditional methods to understand animals just weren't working. But we've done it, Mabel. We created a revolutionary technology that gives us unprecedented access to the animal world. We call it hoppers. Huh? We put this into this. Yes, this into this. Mabel, be careful! Whoa, and they were in the same den. No. I understand you.
What you doing, lady?
This is incredible!
Hey, what's your name, Beaver?
Mabel?
You want to live here, you better learn pond rules.
What are pond rules?
Oh, I am clearing the rest of the day. Let's hear it for Mabel, everyone. Rule number 1, don't be a stranger. Looking good, Fran. Tom, Laquan, Tamara, Prudence, Pete, Peter, Petey.
Yeah, it's crowded, but we're still alive.
Rule number 2, when you gotta eat, eat.
How did he get a little crown?
That's your question? Everybody. Fellow animals! The humans have stolen their last inch of land from us.
There he is.
We gotta fight back!
She seems to have become a Joan of Arc type rebel leader.
Mabel, we do not use hopping technology to upset the animal world. She found the button.
The Animal Council has been summoned. The shrill beaver is right.
Yeah!
Their treachery ends here, now.
Yeah!
Let's squish the humans.
Yeah! Wait, squish?
They squish us. Why shouldn't we squish one of them?
I really don't think we need to go all the way to squish.
That was intense.
Everybody here getting out of control.
Over here! Your life is in danger. You must do exactly as we say, Harry. LOL, I mean, Jerry. Drive now. Rocket ship.
Very pleased. I love that movie. Just so much fun and like a proper Pixar movie. With like, you know, humor and heart and more please, you know. Although I have more to say about Pixar later on if you give me 2 minutes, because there was an interview with Pete Docter, you know, about Elio and the tampering with the screenplay of Elio, which resulted in the original director not being part of it. You know, I'll say more later, because it's a kind of a complex story that is both disappointing and slightly worrying for what's to come.
Okay, well, there'll be a perfect moment, and you'll know just the moment to drop that in later in the show. Fantastic. So that's the box office top 10 for this week.
Meet me in the foyer.
All right, time for a review, and if you're feeling peckish, well, we have been going now for over 10 minutes, so who can blame you if your sugar levels are dropping and energy levels are flagging and the old attention span is wandering. Fortunately, Linda is here to serve up a review to sate your appetite, although you may not be so hungry once you hear what the characters in this new film from Silvio Soldini are having to eat in The Tasters.
Nehmen Sie Platz.
Nicht so schüchtern, sonst wird's kalt.
Und Sie würde ich bitten, sitzen zu bleiben. Aufstehen ist nicht gestattet.
Warum?
In einer Stunde können wir sicher sein, dass das Essen nicht vergiftet ist.
Wie vergiftet?
Deshalb wurden Sie ausgewählt. Junge und gesunde deutsche Frauen.
Hey, das Verbrechen ist Ihnen nicht gestattet.
Seien Sie sich Ihres Glücks bewusst, dass Sie solche Köstlichkeiten essen dürfen.
Seit wann bist du verheiratet? Seit 4 Jahren. Einen Monat nach unserer Hochzeit hat Gregor sich verpflichtet. Ich habe ihn nur einmal wieder gesehen. Also findest du ihn attraktiv und nicht nur ein Mistkerl, Leni? Denkst du noch an Gregor? Klar. Sie sind auf dem Rückzug. Unsere Truppen dürfen wir uns wünschen zu verlieren.
Am liebsten würde ich dich wegbringen, weit weg von hier. Aber das geht nicht.
Zum Wohl. Wie wahrscheinlich ist es, dass da Gift drin ist?
Genauso wie den Krieg verlieren.
Well, I mean, I actually, on paper, I didn't think I was going to like get on with this at all. I just thought it's the usual sort of like run-of-the-mill Holocaust movie, or more importantly, like a World War II movie with Nazis in it. You know, it's just there's like millions of those movies around, and it feels as though every year there's a quota for them, and they come out and they all pretty much have the same kind of tone. It's very, very rare that you find one that actually has loads of like, you know, purpose rather than just rehashing the same thing. This is more of a historical drama than it is a Holocaust movie. Actually, it's not a Holocaust movie at all, despite it being set in World War II. So the story, so it's directed by Silvio Soldini, and it's based on international bestseller novel Le Assaggiatrici by Rosabella Positrino. I mean, this is actually an Italian production but the Silvio Soldini's, like, you know, his books are very, very popular. So sorry, his films are very popular, and Rosabella Postorino is very popular writer. So it tells a wartime story that is both unusual and deeply unsettling. So it focuses on a young woman who makes a move from Berlin. This is 1943. She makes a move from Berlin to the countryside to go and live with her husband's family because her parents are both dead. One of her mum more recently in the bombing of Berlin, and her dad slightly earlier than that. And her husband is fighting for his country. He's in the front, and she's alone. She has nobody to look after her, so he asks her to go and move with his parents. Arriving there, her mother-in-law is very cold with her. She doesn't really know what to do with herself. They hardly have any food or any money, so having another mouth to feed is quite difficult for them. And then comes a moment where the local authorities, sort of the Nazi authorities of the area, knock on her door and come and get her, and they pick her up and put her in a van, and they take her to this, the local barracks. She doesn't know where she's going, but in this van there are several other women of the same age as her who are all sat down. I don't know why they're all women. It's a very bizarre premise. I'm not entirely sure why men weren't also involved in this, but apparently it's kind of loosely based on true story. What they want from them is they've been recruited by the chef, the Führer's chef, to test his food before it's served to him to see if it's not been poisoned, because he's getting very paranoid and he thinks everyone is out to get him. So, it's all in all, I thought it was a really interesting premise and interesting story to be told, especially because it takes place in the last 2 years of the war, and when Hitler was literally in a bunker, fighting a war from a bunker, surrounded by people he trusted and many people he didn't really trust. And it just goes to show you what kind of mental state he was in by then. And to put these young women, these young, healthy German women in harm's way just so that he can make sure that he's not being poisoned. I mean, I kind of like this. I thought the pace was very slow. I thought it was quite a long movie, and I did really like it because I feel like there aren't that many, apart from like Downfall or I feel like there aren't that many movies about the beginning of the end for Hitler and the Nazi Germany, and very, very few narratives about World War II tend to broach that kind of subject. And I was actually quite intrigued by it. All in all, it's actually really well acted, and very honest about what happened at that time. However, there are a couple of subplots about sort of love interests and all of that nonsense, which I could have done without. To be honest with you, I just wanted like a bona fide war movie, or like a psychological thriller. I wasn't bored. I can't say I was bored. I could have done with it being at least 20 minutes shorter. It's fine, it's fine. And as I say, for a foreign language movie or German language movie, I wasn't. I kind of like wasn't bored until about an hour and a half into it, and I was like, okay, right, we're done now. It's fine. It's fine if you have the time, and there is nothing else at the cinema this week that you are interested in seeing, I'd recommend this. I thought it was fine. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I mean, yeah, it is an interesting premise, isn't it? I'm surprised, as you say, looking at the runtime, that it's 2 hours long.
Yeah.
It feels like 90 minutes is fine.
It should have been no longer than 90 minutes. I just really like the interaction between this group of women. I mean, they're really good performances. I really liked the interaction with them. You know, like Rosa starts by being this kind of outsider from Berlin that everyone hated because they think she's hoity-toity and they think she's above them. But then they all learn to help each other and to understand each other and sort of understand where Germany went wrong and how their blind sort of trust in the Führer has resulted in the whole country going to the dogs and their own healths being put in danger. I thought it was really, I really want to see more movies about that particular end of the war and particular sort of like time and place, because not many people tend to talk about it, and I'm just intrigued by it. Do you know what I mean? Like whenever I see a documentary about that, I always watch it because I want to know more.
Yes, no, absolutely. I completely agree. Downfall, as you mentioned, is a fantastic film and absolutely fascinating as it covers that end period. The only other one I could think of was the one, it's a documentary, but about Hitler's secretary called Blind Spot.
Yeah,
which is a good film.
It's a really good title, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, because it really sort of plays that sort of how complicit was she and all that. Because obviously after the war, everyone was like, "Oh, I always
didn't know."
Yeah, I always thought Hitler was a bad guy, but you got to have work. And yeah, no, fascinating.
I mean, like you see what's going on in the US right now. All these people in 5 years' time, when like there's going to be like tribunals and of people being shot in the face for no reason, like American citizens being mistreated and shot and killed. There's going to be a comeuppance at one point, and all the people who were complicit will pay for it, but they will all say the same thing. I was just doing my job, and that is the big problem.
Absolutely. No, fascinating. Thank you, Linda. I think I will add that to my watch list for sure. It shows my naivety that I was sort of thinking, oh, an Italian film, but set in Germany in German. That's unusual. But of course, we make films set in other countries in a different languages as well. So why shouldn't they? We see, personally, I'm sure you see more, but one sees such a small proportion of foreign films that you think all of their films must be about their local stories and in their language, but of course they're not. So yeah. Fascinating. Wonderful. Okay, so that was your first possible choice off the menu this week, and now why don't we delve into a bit of movie news?
Meet me in the foyer.
In the movie news this week, The Mandalorian and Grogu are bringing Star Wars back to the big screen after a 7-year absence. Lucasfilm co-CEO Dave Filoni says the new film will be unburdened of introducing a new trilogy or establishing a group of unknown heroes. Instead, it's a celebration of its already loved title pair, and the adventure begins in cinemas on May 22nd. I must catch up with the series actually before that comes out.
Yeah, me too, actually.
We have a trailer for In the Grey, Guy Ritchie's new thriller starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Henry Cavill, due in cinemas in the US at least on May 15th.
Call Gary into my office. There is a situation here.
I assure you you'd like to listen. The alternative is very expensive.
Gary! Get them out of my office now.
Gary, a moment. There are two versions of how this narrative plays out.
Exhibit A.
Gary waits patiently and quietly by the door.
Exhibit B.
Gary steps forward and you spend the next 6 hours sponging him off the walls. I know which version Gary would prefer. Gary. Shh.
Manny Salazar. He's not really the guy you loan $1 billion and expect to see it back.
You think you can recover it?
You know I can. And this job, when mistakes are made, you need insurance. Kids, don't say a word. Follow me. Bronco and Sid will now solve it their way.
Love the shirt.
It's silk.
Of course it is.
I just told you. It's silk.
This is Salazar's island. The police are on payroll, and he has a reasonably experienced private army. Tick every box.
Tick every tuck.
Lube every wheel.
Lick every stamp.
3, 2, 1.
Range 300. Weight 275.
Make your mind up.
250. Ram it, Janet.
They work between the moral and the immoral. The black and the white. They operate in the gray.
Show me what you got.
I foresee a problem. I am aware that there is a 300-foot deep untraversable ravine, but if you give yourself enough runway, build up some speed, and flap your arms like so,
it should take the bump out of the landing.
It feels to me like Guy Ritchie's releasing a film sort of every other month at the moment. He's absolutely churning them out. And his new TV series, Young Sherlock Holmes, has just dropped as well. Here comes the relevant news. Pixar have confirmed Monsters, Inc. 3 is on its way, which is hugely exciting, but they've also announced 2 new films. First up is Pixar's third journey beyond the veil after Coco and Soul, with the film Oh No, Ghost Market. No details confirmed yet, other than it will draw on Asian myths. The second comes from Turning Red director and Elio co-director Domi Shi. Again, with very few details at this time, other than it will be Pixar's first fully fledged musical. Both new original projects joining the March 5th, 2027 release slate. Other Pixar news includes plans to release Incredibles 3 in 2028 and Coco 2 in 2029. And I should say, just before you come in, because I know you've got some Pixar thoughts. I really feel like Turning Red was underrated. I really enjoyed that one.
Oh, such a lovely movie. Was it underrated? I mean, I think it did well at the box office, didn't it? I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I really loved that.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like I could grab the zeitgeist quite as much as it perhaps deserved. But you've got some Pixar thoughts, Linda?
I do, and I am loath to say this because I really like Pete Docter. You know, he's the director of Up. Who doesn't love Up? Who doesn't love Inside Out? You know, I just feel like there are some individuals in Hollywood right now who feel like they need to sort of be join in the bandwagon of anti-wokeness just for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? He was asked, I don't know, there was a Wall Street Journal profile, in which he was talking about Elio and how there was some changes in his script for Elio, and so Adrian Molina was supposed to be directing it and wrote the script and, you know, made it into this really beautiful sort of LGBT friendly storyline that surrounding Elio. And then Disney decided had showed it to some people, and then they decided that they didn't want to release it as it was because, and I quote, if you don't mind me saying, I just want to quote him properly because I don't want to be, sort of putting words in his mouth. So I'm going to quote exactly. So Pete Docter says they didn't want to broach topics that parents might not be ready for to discuss with their kids, or to be specific, we're making a movie, not hundreds of millions of dollars of therapy. That is to the question, why was the LGBTQ theme, were the LGBTQ themes removed from Elio, which ended up doing really badly in the box office. I love Elio. I don't think it would have lost anything. Actually, it would have enriched it even more if there were those kind of themes added to it. And they ended up having Adrian Molina who is part of the LGBTQ community and who wanted to write a story about his own upbringing as a kid, a gay kid, and so it was all very like fuzzy and lovely and sweet. And to say something like we're making a movie, not hundreds of millions of dollars of therapy, is kind of really awkward. I'm not gonna like write him off completely. As I say, I will always love the person who made Up and Inside Out, but I just think like if this is how Hollywood is thinking right now, I'm extremely disappointed, and I think this could be really bad news for the future of Disney, future of film, and the way people are interacting with the kind of the change in outlooks and opinions on LGBTQ or any other sort of race stuff or political stuff. I just think it's kind of sad to see how people are thinking right now. It's just very disappointing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I suppose it's not entirely surprising given it's come from the House of Mouse. And it's always the bottom line for them is always the money. And there have been a few less than stellar successes come out recently. They released Wish, and I remember there being quite a furore around that because they had as I say, a non-white lead.
It's ridiculous.
And such a fuss made about that.
But the people making a fuss are people who don't go and see these movies. They're not for you. They're for the kids.
That's true. That's very
Don't
true,
bring your kind of like negativity and sort of, one-sided viewpoint to a kids movie. I just find that so ridiculous.
Absolutely.
There's really no need for it. It's so disappointing.
And it's inevitable that there will be more LGBTQ plus storylines and characters in the films, and they just need to have the bravery to sort of stand by their plots and their stories and make them.
Yeah.
Okay, so brilliant. So what else have we got for you? We have a final trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, confirming the casting of Donald Glover as Yoshi, due in cinemas on April 1st, and that's no joke.
There's a huge universe out there. With a lot of galaxies.
We gotta get everyone out of here! Go, go, go! Mamma mia.
I demand that you release my father.
Over my dead body.
Fine with me.
Your king has returned!
Long live the king!
The Bowser name shall be feared once more!
Oh no! Everyone calm down.
Toad, pack our things.
Let's go.
Let's go!
Oh, princess, you're going to regret that.
I'm not going to watch it, to be honest. I watched the first Super Mario movie and just, no, not for me. Never been a Mario fan, to be honest. So, yeah, I don't know why I bothered watching it. And rounding up with some casting announcements, Daisy Edgar-Jones has secured the lead in Coda director Sean Hedder's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow adaptation. Mike Flanagan's Exorcist movie has added John Leguizamo, Raoul Lee, and Hamish Linklater to its cast. And perhaps biggest, if not best news, is Arnold Schwarzenegger has let slip he is working with Christopher McQuarrie on a Conan sequel called King Conan, and is also working on a return to the Predator franchise after discussions with Prey and Predator Badlands director Dan Trachtenberg, and is reading a script for a Commando sequel. So he'll be back.
I won't be watching that. I mean, no, I will be watching it because I have to review it, but I'm not really, I can't say I'm excited.
No, I'm intrigued by the Conan one, I have to say. The first one is a classic, although not amazing. The second one, pretty dreadful. Definitely intrigued by the Predator one, because I think what Dan Trachtenberg's done with his last two has been really interesting. But yeah, I've always thought Commando was an absolute overrated pile of poo. So yeah, we'll see what comes of those. And that's the news for this week.
Meet me in the foyer.
Right, so a cheeky additional bonus review this week from Linda, as she brings us her thoughts on a new film called Reminders of Him from Vanessa Caswill.
Reminders of Him is about redemption,
second chances,
and love. You meet Kenna. She's just spent time in prison. Not only is Kenna hoping to be forgiven by the people she hurt, but also she wants to forgive herself and piece herself together.
She's come back to reconnect with someone from her past.
She just rolls her sleeves up and does what she's got to do for herself and for her people.
I need to see my daughter.
You're her. Go.
One of the things that's really special about Colleen is that she writes difficult things, but every way that she looks at the world has a sense of humor.
It was really nice to read a script with so much love in it. I want to meet the human that Scotty and I made.
What initially made me drawn to Ledger is how my life is parallel to what Ledger is experiencing. I've witnessed own loss in my life. Everybody from a brother to a best friend. Discovering more of myself through Ledger was something that I was attracted to.
How dare she just show up?
If it wasn't for her, our son would still be alive.
This movie has some heavy elements, but it's a beautiful story of love.
Even if you feel completely hopeless, that doesn't mean love is gone.
I think the fans will be really blown away.
It's going to be a beautiful film.
Something so out of the ordinary.
So Linda, take it away.
I'm going to keep this one brief. If you've seen any adaptation of Colleen Hoover movie, you know exactly what you're expecting. There's a specific type of movie that Hollywood has gotten really, really good at making recently. They take a hugely popular romance novel, preferably from Colleen Hoover or of that ilk, and then cast a very good-looking cast, and also really good good actors in it. The formula has increasingly meant adaptations take a really good-looking cast and throw in a storyline from this book, a really popular book, a book that's preferably sold by the millions, and then wrap it all up in this kind of really glossy, almost like a perfume ad type of look to it, and you get Reminders of Him. If you liked It Ends With Us, you will love this. If you hated It Ends With Us, you're gonna hate this. that's all I'm saying on this. So Reminders of Him, directed by Vanessa Caswill, written by Hoover alongside Lauren Levine. The film is based on her new, as I say, the novel by the same name, and on paper it looks like it's something you could just sit down and get lost in, but I was so bored watching this movie. Genuinely, you know that I always go back to saying show don't tell. How to show and not tell. It's like basically, instead of repeating what the movie is about, just show us what the movie is about. This does that and then shows it to you, but then also talks to you about it. It's cliche upon cliche upon cliche. The story is basically this young woman Kenna, who's played, but actually a really, really good actress, fabulous actress, Maika Monroe. She's really good in this. So she's her name is Kenna Rowan. She's just been released from prison, returns to a small town where her life completely fell apart a few years earlier. Kenna was involved in a tragic accident that killed her boyfriend, and the town has never forgiven her. Basically, she's come back and she wants to see her daughter. She's never met her daughter. The baby was taken away from her when she was literally a few hours old and given to the grandparents, the parents of the ex-boyfriend. And she finds sort of solace in Ledger Ward, who is her ex-boyfriend's best friend growing up and friend of the family. He's played by Tyriq Withers, who was in the movie Him, if you remember, last year.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Good actor as well. As I say, like there's some really like capable actors here. Even sort of Bradley Whitford from West Wing, completely wasted in here. Lauren Graham is also fabulous. Like really, really, really good actors. Completely wasted on this. It's not for me. And it's got like a what do you call it? A Mother's Day theme to it, and I think it's being released this weekend because everyone's going to go and see it with their mothers. Fair enough, good luck to you. Make as much money as you can. And this is likely to go into smaller cinemas, smaller independent cinemas that are really like crying out for popular movies like this. They're all going to make loads of money. It's probably going to be number one by the end. I don't know. It's between this or How to Make a Killing. It's if you're looking for anything deep, forget it. It's paper thin. The premise is paper thin, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. I thought it was never going to end. I was bored. Honestly, I like to tears. Yeah, go see it or don't go see it. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's another one that's nearly 2 hours long. It's just so unnecessary.
Yeah. Exactly that, unnecessary. Nobody needs that.
And then I looked up Colleen Hoover, and that's a list of films I don't want to see. I've got to say, Regretting You previously, and then before that, It Ends With Us. So it's not a glowing list, shall we say?
Yeah, Regretting You is if it's the same kind of tone as Regretting You. It's these movies. They're all the same. They are all the same. And they keep making them because they keep making them money, and that's fine. It's an industry after all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
Can't really blame them.
If they make some people happy, that's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Brilliant. Okay, well that's a possible choice if that's your thing this week. And now I think I'll do my classic movie, and then we'll pop back to Linda for her third review after that, if that's okay.
Meet me in the foyer.
Time now for another of Jawa's classic movie moments, and this week we're boarding a train to Newcastle to celebrate a film marking its 55th anniversary. So let's get busy and get Carter.
Oh.
One day, a professional killer went home to visit his family and found his brother murdered.
Now, who killed him?
I don't know nothing.
And listen, the only reason I came back to this crap house was to find out who did it. And I'm not leaving till I do.
Michael Caine is Carter, a man with unbridled hate.
Do you want to be dead, Albert? For Christ's sake! You knew what I'd do, didn't you, Albert? Listen, Christ, I didn't kill him. I know you didn't.
When a professional killer hates, he turns animal. And there becomes but one law in the underworld jungle. Get Carter. Get Carter. Before Carter gets you.
Don't let us interrupt you. Now,
don't you think you ought to get dressed first? Come on, Jack, put it away. You know you won't use it.
The gun he means. Out.
Carter, the heated killer. The cool lover. man of few words. A man of decisive action.
I've come for you, Margaret. Take your clothes off.
Few words. Decisive action. Hate drives the hunter.
No! No!
Fear pursues the hunted.
They'd have killed me! They killed my brother instead! Hey!
Carter, spreading terror with an uncontrolled trigger. Carter was a killer by profession. Now he is a killer by instinct.
Goodbye!
Michael Caine is Carter. Get Carter before Carter gets you.
So I think I probably saw this as a teenager. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Neon magazine?
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
Film magazine that rivaled Empire briefly in the 90s. And I used to carry this copy around. I've still got it. They did the what was it, the 100 movies you've got to see before you die list in about 1996, something like that. And Get Carter was in there. So I've worked my way through the list. And
Can you remember what else was at the top?
Oh, well, number one was Jaws, actually. Very mainstream choice. But what else was in there? Barbarella. The Karen Carpenter story was in there. There was just so many loads.
I kind of like that because it's more of a genre thing, and I hate it when I don't, even though I took part in the BFI one, I think loads of the choices were quite, how shall we say, like, not to be rude, but like a bit pretentious.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I mean this list. I'll have to dig it out again, and we'll talk about a few of them.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's some very surprisingly sort of mainstream ones on there, like Star Wars and Planet of the Apes, and then some absolutely obscure and very strange ones. I mean, what less obscure now was Man Bites Dog was on there, but this was back in the mid-90s, so I'd never heard of that. Yeah, it was a very interesting education, shall we say, in film, and I think that's when I first saw Get Carter, and I think it was the first time I saw Caine play a straight-out villain, because he's played non-straight characters before. I mean, Alfie's not the nicest guy in the world, and Charlie Parker from The Italian Job is a criminal, but they're all lovable rogues. And now in Get Carter, he's very much a monster. Although, of course, you're put on his side because he's investigating the death of his brother, and he's working for a gang of gangsters who are trying to stop him doing that. They don't want him to go up north, and it's a nice touch because it opens, I think, that incredible haunting theme, and you're looking at Caine playing Carter through a window in an office or an apartment building, I should say, and it cuts inside, and he's with a group of sort of middle-aged, slightly overweight men, all sat around smoking, drinking, and watching pornography, and they're trying to persuade him that he shouldn't go to up north because they just leave it alone, Jack. We don't want to mess with that because, of course, they've all got vested interests up north. And he sort of says, "Yeah, I'll think about it," and then you just smash cut into him on the train heading up to Newcastle the next day, and it's brilliant. You've got, as I say, the theme tune has to be one of the coolest theme tunes in the history of cinema. It's up there with stuff that Labi Siffre would do, and the John Barry, and absolutely brilliant theme tune. And then you follow him as he sort of makes his way through social clubs and bars and nightclubs in Newcastle, and you really see sort of the sort of sweaty underbelly of inner city life in the 70s. A wonderful film. Apparently it went from book to film in only 10 months because Hodges bought up the rights to the book immediately, and then started working on the script, and he gave the script to Caine, and then Caine started to sort of adapt it and work it himself, and he saw it as a sort of a sort of journey back to his youth, as growing up in the East End around gangsters, and that's why because Hodges was surprised that Caine wanted to do it because he was such a high-profile star at the time, coming off the back of Alfie. And but as I say, Caine felt like it connected to his youth and his childhood in the East End and gangsters, and he wanted to portray gangsters as he knew them. He famously said, "Was it gangsters are neither stupid or funny," and that's how he plays it. And the way he plays it is amazing. You see these performances sometimes, and I've I'm not rewriting the book here. Caine is one of the greatest actors of all time, and he just exudes this power. You can't take your eyes off him the whole time. Whenever he's in shot, he is the center of your vision. And I don't know, he felt like it might seem like a weird analogy, but I was thinking he's kind of like the monolith in 2001. He almost absorbs all the light in the frame, and he doesn't move very much. He doesn't express very much on his face. He barely speaks. He kind of reminds me of the Terminator in the fact that he's like this relentless pursuer of his targets. And as I say, speaking very little, completely unruffled by whatever situation he gets into. And he just owns the film. He completely bosses it. It's amazing. So yeah, as I say, went from book to screen in 10 months, slightly based on a true story, which you can look up. It returned an all right profit on its release, but it became a cult hit because critics weren't that hugely sold on it. They thought it was too complex, and the violence was amoral, and it didn't sort of justify the violence, and it didn't show any remorse for the violence, which I kind of think is what makes it such a special film. Hodges says he was inspired by Dashiell Hammett and American noir films, but he doesn't use tricks like voiceover, and they cut out a load of backstory from the book, which other critics said means you don't understand Caine's character, but I think works even better because they're saying, what's his motivation for investigating his brother's death? And you're thinking, well, it's his brother and he's dead. So, that's all you need to know. And then I kind of, just off the top of my head, he kind of feels like a shark. He kind of feels like Jaws because he's just this relentless, focused, just pursues his targets through the film, and he's always moving, and he just moves forwards all the time. But there are light moments. There are some very funny moments. The phone sex moment in the scene in the middle of the film is sort of erotic and amusing as he calls his girlfriend in London from the bed and breakfast he's staying in, with the landlady sat sort of 3 feet away, just rocking in her chair incessantly as she sort of earwigs in on this conversation he's having with Britt Ekland. Or there's later he actually takes the landlady to bed, and then some gangsters knock around in the morning and they think they've got the jump on him, but he's got a shotgun hidden under the bed, and he walks them out of the house completely stark naked. So there's some lovely moments, but it is bleak. It's sort of, the film is as bleak as the Newcastle it's set in, where it's sort of damp and cold all the time, and you see houses that must just be freezing because they've no central heating, and just grim. And it's got a very, and it doesn't sell out. It's got a bleak, harsh ending as well. So it's a fabulous film. So as I say, it stars Michael Caine as Jack Carter. It's Ian Hendry plays Eric Pace, and Ian Hendry was initially the first choice to play Carter, but he wasn't well enough to take the lead at the time. And he was apparently a bit miffed about being replaced by Caine, and they used the sort of his antagonism towards Caine in the roles where they butt up against each other. John Osborne appears as Cyril Kinnear. Britt Ekland, as I mentioned, plays Anna. Brian Molesley is in it as Cliff Brumby. George Sewell plays Con McCarthy, and Alan Armstrong appears as Keith Lacey. It appeared in cinema because of the relaxation in censorship in the 60s. One of the key things in those is I always remember the justification for the Italian Job ending on that literal cliffhanger is that censors wouldn't allow criminals to get away with their crimes. which has changed a lot now. And this feels like this film took advantage of the change in censorship to show more violence and, as I say, less comeuppance for the committers of that violence. For me, I think it's one of the three best British gangster movies ever made. The other being the Bob Hoskins starring Long Good Friday. Yeah, absolutely brilliant film. And I'd put it's in third, it's definitely in third, but I put Mona Lisa in there as well, which ironically stars Bob Hoskins and Michael Caine together in the film.
Yeah.
So basically, if you've got Michael Caine or Bob Hoskins, or you can get both, you're going to make a brilliant British gangster film, probably. Apparently MGM, who backed it, wanted American stars in it, which John Hodges managed to resist. They also wanted the end changed, which I'm not going to give away, but again, he resisted that. They sold the distribution rights in the US to drive-in movies, so it didn't do hugely well in America initially. And they actually redubbed the opening scene I mentioned with the gangsters watching the pornography because they didn't feel that American audiences would be able to understand the Cockney accents. And then when the film was being shown on British TV, they only had that version. They lost the original version. But fortunately, when they did a Blu-ray release, they managed to find a copy and redub it back, or restore it back to its original form. Rotten Tomatoes give it an 85% rating. They apparently it's far more popular with men than women, which doesn't surprise me in the least.
Come on.
So, come on, girls, watch the film. Sight and Sound's Tom Milne said the film was well constructed and had good characterization, but lacked the mystery and charisma of the earlier American crime films that attempted to emulate, which I think misses the point, really. It's not about a mystery. Pauline Kael, unusually, admired it and said its calculated soullessness what made her wonder if it signaled a new genre of virtuoso viciousness, which is a nice phrase. It's been remade twice. It was remade the next year as a film called Hitman by MGM as a blaxploitation film, which didn't do particularly well and absolutely infuriated Hodges, the director, because he was thinking, why would you remake it a year after I released my version? And then notoriously, it was remade in 2000 by Warner Brothers, who still hold the rights to the pre-1986 MGM library. And it was remade by Sylvester Stallone as playing the title role. And it's awful. In fact, it's been voted the worst remake of all time, and just shocking. And
Caine, an insult.
Yes, dreadful. I should mention I've mentioned how good the theme is. The theme is by Roy Budd. He's a jazz pianist and composer, and there's a recording of them playing it on, I don't know if it's Top of the Pops, but it's something like that, playing it live. And you can see that he actually plays 3 different keyboards at the same time because they recorded it live to the film without overdubs. So he plays a harpsichord, a Wurlitzer, and a grand piano all at the same time. And it's just an absolutely brilliant piece of music. It's influenced so many films. As you know, I've already mentioned Long Good Friday, obviously Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Steven Soderbergh's The Limey, he's said himself it was inspired by Get Carter. Even Life on Mars, the TV series, took inspiration from Get Carter. It got a resurgence in the 90s, not just from me reading Neon magazine, but it just the 90s being so 60s inspired. People were looking back at not just music but film. The music's been covered by lots of bands, including Stereolab and Jar Wobble and the Human League. And it was actually apparently one of Stanley Kubrick's favorite films. And he was quoted as saying, "Any actor who sees this will want to work with writer-director Mike Hodges." Apparently, Newcastle barman got sick of people ordering beer in a thin glass after the film came out. And I have to admit, being guilty of this myself, as a student, I was in a bar in Liverpool and I ordered Newcastle Brown, and I was like, thin glass, to the barman, and he looked at me like I was an absolute Burke, and he was entirely right. So Yeah, it's a brilliantly made film. There are lots of lovely moments and techniques. There's a moment where Caine's watching a film on a projector and he's seeing something awful that's absolutely breaking his heart. And the sound of the projector just gets louder and louder and louder until it sort of fills your head. It's brilliant. The dialogue is superb. It absolutely sings. I mean, Michael Caine might be one of the most quoted actors of all time, and it feels like half of his one-liners come from this film alone. Um, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. And if you didn't like my review and think you could do better, I've just one thing to say to you: you're a big man, but you're in bad shape. With me, it's a full-time job. Now behave yourself. So that's my review of Get Carter.
Fantastic. I love Get Carter. Whoever said men like it more than women hasn't met me. I always get a little bit annoyed when people say that because I guess the movies that I like are not traditionally what the majority of women like. I love gangster movies. I love, you know, De Niro movies. I like Scorsese movies. I love cinema, and I don't think it matters whether you're male or female if you love cinema, you know. And I like genre movies, and I like slightly more pretentious movies. And like if you love film, you just love film, and that's that. And you know.
Yeah, and I can totally see why you would love Get Carter because it's just so fresh. It's so. I'm not going to say it's totally unique, but it feels unique, especially if you watch it early in your life, in your teens.
Yeah.
It feels like nothing you've seen before. You know, yeah. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It's just a great film. Yeah, brilliant film. Right, so that's my review, but before we go, we've got time for one more from Linda. So apparently
you're being spoiled this week.
Absolutely, yeah. You're gonna be your gluttons, and we'll feed you one more course before we leave.
Meet me in the foyer.
So apparently Linda's taken up a new hobby. It's perhaps a little darker than pottery or watercolors, but any pastime that keeps the hands and the mind busy is a good thing. So why don't we go over to her now and she can share some insight into her new passion project, how to make a killing.
Beckett? No way. So are you living in the city now?
Yeah, I do. A little outside of it.
Since the day I was born, my mother told me we were different. Yes, she had been disowned by her family, but someday I would become the sole heir. I just had to wait for all of them to die. There were 7 of them. 7 rich pricks between myself and $28 billion.
Well, call me when you've killed them all.
There's a rumor out there that money doesn't buy happiness.
You're still poor, assholes!
Dead wrong. Money does buy happiness. We're all adults here. Let's move on. If I were to prune a few branches of the family tree, where would I start? Who are you? I'm Beckett.
Have you heard about the Red Fellows? I wonder who's next.
I'm with the FBI. How you doing?
Great.
You know where this is all going.
What would you even do with $1 billion?
What? We shouldn't chase what we want?
I have proof. I'm really happy I went with black and white.
Woo!
I'm sure you'll make a killing.
As the Bible says, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Does the Bible say that?
No.
Oh.
So, How to Make a Killing by director John Patton Ford, who also made the really fantastic movie that hardly anyone saw, which is Emily the Criminal, a couple of years ago, a few years ago. I think it was during the pandemic, and it starred Audrey Plaza, who I would watch in anything. I absolutely adore that woman. I just think she's great. And he's only got one other movie behind him before making How to Make a Killing, and it's also a film that's loosely inspired the 1949 movie British film Kind Hearts and Coronets, classic Ealing movie by Robert Hammer and Don Drayton. So in this movie, like Glen Powell stars with Margaret Qualley, Jessica Henwick, Bill Camp, Zach Wood, Topher Grace, and Ed Harris. And the story, I don't know if you've seen I assume you have seen Kind Hearts and Coronets, and I assume you are very protective of it, specifically because there is this really wonderful performance by Alec Guinness, who playing several characters, all sort of related to each other. So it is kind of like a movie that is very, very hard, and I think you'd have to be like really ballsy to try and sort of emulate it in some way. What's positive about this? It does have actually a really good script. It's been released by A24, and I think A24 just sold it to Studio Canal, and I think they just don't know what to do with it. It's such an odd movie, but it looks so good. I love the way it looks, and it is an odd movie because it's an American movie trying sort of adapting like a much loved British movie, and it's got this like a really bizarre tone to it, but I liked it precisely because of that. So the storyline is so Glen Powell plays Beckett Fellow, and he's on death row for murder, and he recounts his life to a priest, tracing his path from an impoverished childhood alongside his mother. He's been raised by his single mum after she was cast out by her extremely wealthy billionaire Redfellow family. Beckett grows up believing that he deserves the fortune that was denied to him because his mum ended up dying penniless, because she was cast off because she got pregnant with him and she didn't want to get rid of him. As an adult, he basically does his best to sort of he starts off by working in this shop where he's like selling suits and then decides that actually if he really wants to make something out of himself, he needs to go back to his family and try and infiltrate them and slowly but surely try and kill off his relatives one by one so that he's the last person left. I'm going to leave it there because it's best that you discover, especially if you haven't seen Kind of House of Coronets. I'm going to leave the description or the synopsis there. I really like this because I think that it has it is very respectful of the source material. It doesn't try to emulate. I would have liked to see the same kind of thing done with having one person play several characters, but at the end of the day, there are some really good actors here doing a really fabulous job. Zach Woods is just so incredible as this kind of like almost like a nepo baby artist type person who has very little talent but a ton of money. He hates the fact that he's rich. He's in a relationship with this woman who is a school teacher and then when he ends up dead, the young woman is played by Jessica Henwick, and she ends up falling in love with Glen Powell's character Beckett. There are some really good performances by Margaret Qualley, who is who plays a really interesting character because she is the only one person who sees what he really is like, and she's not a love interest, as it were. She's just someone who understands his thirst for getting back what's his. Topher Grace plays this kind of like a corrupt pastor. I think I think it would have been really interesting to see who could have played all of those characters together. I don't know if Glen Powell actually, because the original character it wasn't played, by the same, the lead of Kind Hearts and Coronets wasn't the same as all of those relatives. But anyway,
Yes.
I
Dennis
really,
Price, wasn't it?
yeah, that's right. I really liked it. I thought it was really fun. I think some people are going to like it less or going to take against it because it is an adaptation of a movie they love. I, I kind of correct. I love it. I love the movie, but I can take it or leave it. I don't have particularly sort of like like a particular relationship with it. I didn't grow up on it, or I discovered it more like maybe say about 15 years ago. Um, all in all, I really like Glen Powell. I've interviewed him and the cast of this movie. If you'd like to go, we're not here to advertise other outlets, but if you want to look up my interview with them, you can search my name and there's on YouTube, and you can find that interview. I won't be, yeah. So I thought it was fine. I thought it was great, actually, and I think he's a really good director. I thought it looked really beautiful as well. The sort of it has a kind of almost like a how should like a 70s caper look about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really liked it. Just like this kind of heightened reality. And I really like unusual movies. I like we get served the same kind of thing week in, week out. And when we get something like this, we moan about it. I just think it's really good. And I respect A24 for going with it and allowing him to make this movie. Go see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do love Kind Hearts and Coronets. Um, I, I was thinking it's a very peculiarly English film,
Yeah.
making a comedy out of something as black as a serial murderer. But um, black comedy has become quite a thing in American, especially sort of indie cinema in the last decade or so. There's a new Jason Segel film coming out, which is called a black comedy. And sometimes you watch them and you think, where's the comedy in this? But this looks really interesting. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, well, obviously Glen Powell is going to be playing all the characters because
No,
because
yeah.
of Hitman. Do you remember
Yeah.
all the roles he played in Hitman? But they haven't done that, which is unusual. But
I did ask him about that, but then, I don't know. Like, I mean, I think it's really hard when you ask someone a question like that when he's surrounded by his castmates. So, it wasn't a one-to-one interview, and to have people like, Zach Woods, who is just an incredible comedian as well as actor, and Topher Grace, who is just incredible in everything. When you have them around you and they are like, playing these characters and they're playing them brilliantly, it's hard for him to say, yeah, I would have liked to do all of the characters. I think,
yes,
he's
he's
a
allowed
bit
some
of
other
a,
people some work.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
one's only an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, and it's perfect. It's really perfect, and it's a really vicious movie. It's very funny, but it's also very vicious. And the ending doesn't really. I mean, I'm not going to give it away, but I was actually quite surprised by the ending. Very un-Hollywood,
Okay. And as you say, fabulous cast. I was really excited to see Zach Woods on the list, who you mentioned, and Margaret Qualley, and Ed Harris is in it as well, which is great. No, definitely going to see that one. Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Linda. That was great.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's your final course for this week. I hope the meal was to your satisfaction and you have enjoyed your time with us. I'll have your bill prepared for you now, and if you'd like to leave us a little tip, why not head over to our Patreon account and subscribe? Then, even if you can't get a table when you wish to spend time with us next time, you can enjoy all our cinematic delights. And don't worry if you can't satisfy your hunger by listening to our reviews in isolation. You can also sample our specials, or if you're feeling really hungry, you can listen to any of our previous episodes in full director's cut form. So it just remains for me to thank Linda for her wonderful service, and thank you very much, Linda. It was
Thank
great
you very
seeing you again.
much.
Wonderful
Thank you,
reviews.
and sorry for making it very long by adding a film at the last minute. That's just because I am extremely disorganized, and I had prepared for different lineup.
It's because you're so generous, Linda. We love our listeners so much. We can't help but treat them. So yeah, I'll just wish you all the best for the rest of the week. And finally,
oh, we might see you on Sunday.
We might see you on Sunday.
Don't know when you will be listening to this, but we might not see. We will definitely see you on Sunday. We're going to go live at some point. I will put some I'll share it on social media what time we're going live, and then we shall be talking all things Oscars.
Marvelous. We're off to Hollywood. So yeah, it just leaves for me to offer you a wafer thin mint. Oh, come on, it's only a little teeny tiny thin one. It's only wafer thin, just the one. Voila, bon appetit, and au revoir.
Adios.
Goodbye.
Subscribe now to help fans supporting food banks. Go to patreon.com/rockandrollfootball and look for your favourite club subscription pages and sign up with your favourite presenter. Rock and Roll Football. No adverts, no VAR, no limits.
Meet me in the foyer.
What have you got on your sample menu for us?
Today I will be reviewing a movie called The Tasters.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you more about it later. And also, I would be reviewing Reminders of Him. Again, I am not to let. I'd rather talk about them properly when I'm reviewing them because there's two. I mean, it's a pretty kind of weak. Oh no, hang on. What did I say?
You said you were going to do How to Make a Killing.
How to Make a Killing. I'm so sorry. What's the second one I said?
Tasters and How to Make a Killing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Apologies. Give me 2 seconds.
No worries.
I prepared the wrong reviews.